You know what? I tend to keep my thoughts to myself. Most of the time, our ideas tend to be more our one sided opinions, so keeping them to yourself saves you some trouble. I'm no expert on basically anything, but I think after almost 26 years of living, I have a thing or two figured out. I hate the word gamer, but I guess I'm gonna make this intro short and I'm just gonna go ahead and identify myself as one. I've been living like the majority of us. Locked down, waiting on Corona to be just another age of history of humanity. I fell victim to the madness, and I got myself fired a few months back for being too confrontational with my former coworkers and bosses. I mean, just keep in mind that this former job that I had, it was just the simplest thing, and I could do whatever they told me to do right here in my house. I didn't have to go out anywhere, I had good internet, and I had a laptop that they provided me with. So everything I needed to be done, I could have done in my house. The reasons of why they told us we had to go to the office were just plain bullshit. And on top of that, mixed and sprinkle on the fact that they had the balls to say to our faces that they didn't have a budget to hire a private transportation, while in the meantime they were hiring administrative assistants to basically everyone in the company. It all looked like they just did not give a single fuck about us having to get Ubers on our way in and out of a very annoying but accommodating brand new office. Public transportation was an option, indeed. It's not that I'm too good to hop inside a bus, but in my book, it's just an easy way to get sick and do the dance with Corona. Just because my former bosses were too comfy on their brand new SUVs, and they could not be bothered to look outside the little universe where the bulk of their workforce was, and as far as I know, still is forced to go and play with their cards on a very dangerous game with Corona, or just spend about a quarter of their salaries on transportation for Ubers just to arrive to the office. And now that I have some time off since I got fired, I did do some catching up with the gaming community. I found out that there are things like Discord, and now everyone uses that, and words like bug are thrown around. I caught up with my regular content creators, which brings me to the reason of why I wanted to make this video and why I wanted to talk about, well, this topic. The early introduction I gave you guys was just to give you an insight of why is it that I found interesting this topic in particular. Jim Sterling and the Jimquisition. Man, it's crazy. I think I've been watching this dude's content for almost a decade now. And after binge watching most of the content on this channel, I found out that over the past 15 months or so, his content has morphed from gaming commentary and reviews to full-on social commentary. With a fuck the man and rich attitude, I guess we should have seen this foreshadowing before, but I just wasn't expecting Jim Sterling to become a social commentarist. It shows how passionate Jim is with the gaming industry, since now it's not about just the games being good, bad, lackluster, incomplete. It's as well focused on the business side of the gaming industry. The main focus of his content, it's now that, calling out and pointing out things like crunch, rich, amoral businessman. Jim has been pointing out the worst of the basic hierarchy of a company as of the past at least 12 months. I am no stranger to this get fucked animosity towards dickheads with a business insider mindset, where they reduce their workers to numbers and the nobody is unexpendable unless you are a boss attitude. It's hammered down to their employees. So I get where Jim is coming from, with most, if not the majority of his content just orbitating towards these topics. The most recent Jimquisition has been one of the most interesting ones that Jim has put up in a while from his channel now. Talking about the GameStop fiasco and their stocks being manipulated by Reddit of all fucking things made this whole situation a very comical internet quirk that we found out. Do you see, viewer? I don't know how to address you guys. It doesn't matter where you are. Most of us are dealing with the same stuff. We have been waiting out Corona, just locked down in our houses, waiting and waiting to just to see this through and go back to whatever it's left to our normal lives. But the weird part about this whole situation is that you see some other individuals that have been profiting like crazy this past 12 months. It's just not major business owners, but the government in a very corrupted system that has been just very contempt, just sitting out this whole mess. But you see, here's the deal. I'm not here to talk about Reddit or how its stocks were manipulated by a bunch of dickheads online. I don't really give too much of a shit about that. But I'm here to talk about an idea and the unsettling future that awaits us in the next upcoming months. You see, internet user, I'm not afraid of Corona anymore. After seeing how it unveiled this last 6 months, it seems like we are on our way out. Like we are going back to our normal lives again. But here's the question that has been haunting me for the past few months, and it is where is exactly or what is exactly that we are going back to? Most of us wind up tangled with unemployment. Small to medium businesses were just closed down. The rich got richer and the poor got poorer. I guess some things just never change. Now, the other question is how did this happen? Even on my country, that it's not an economic powerhouse by any definition of the word, the rich got richer and basically has gone unharmed over this mess. Just like Jim said on his video.
Those for whom this nation has given nothing and taken practically everything.
At least in my country, it seems like we're more concerned about Corona than economic stability. Now, here's the deal. Corona, I'm not undermining it by any chance. It is something that we have to take seriously, and we're still not at the point where we can just act like it's not a thing anymore. But without money or a job, in nowadays society, you're basically worthless. And once this is all past us and the vaccine, it's not anymore a luxury but a commodity, then what happens? What happens with all the unemployed, with all the former business owners, with all people who happen just to wind up with debt so far up their asses that whenever they talk, you can see a bank owner basically jerking off inside their mouths? Then exactly what is it going to happen and how is it going to look like? This apathy towards the situation or this things cannot get more fucky attitude is a big concern. Come to think of it, this Stonk thing, where again, to quote Jim,
like people who have become so poor they might as well gamble it.
Jim brings this to the spotlight by pointing out that people have a big I don't give a fuck sign on their foreheads. Quotes like the cost of living goes up and wages still the same, billionaires stay the same even while the world collapses around them, just highlights how big companies and government workers are totally comfy with handouts on top of the whole stack of free out of jail cards they get just to begin with. But they seem eager to stop the common folk from keeping their businesses open and running on a normal schedule, obviously following the proper limitations and restrictions due to the sanitary limitations that we need to obey. But it seems like this is a big no-no. Forcing people to use public transportation, having dumb restrictions that made the everyday person's life a hassle, just to corner us on the edge of a collective mental breakdown. It's incredible that we're seeing how the mid to low class is being bled alive just because they know the big guys, the big corporations, the business owners, and the bank owners all of those people who know that nothing but profit will come out of this whole strangling and killing, well, basically the middle class economy. Loans, mortgages, healthcare, everything will be just skyrocketed. We don't know exactly what's gonna happen, but we do know for a fact that people who lost their business, people who lost their restaurant, their bar, bistro, whatever it is that you lost, you're not getting that back magically just because Corona, it's not a thing anymore, or it's not a dangerous thing anymore. It's just another sickness that we manage as a collective effort in humanity to succumb. Here's the thing, and this is the main reason why I wanted to make this video, and it's something that I hope I can get to discuss with someone, because to me, what is the scariest part of this is what's after Corona, what it's concerning. It's not about the things we can't control, it's about the things we know are being controlled for us that makes this whole scenario so scary. Can you tell me why is it that I can't go and get a few drinks with my friends past 10 p.m. on any day during the week? Or why is it that families are being separated on holidays even though they are within their own social bubble? Or why is it that we cannot drive around our own car past 10 p.m. in some countries? Why is it that layoffs of more than half of the staff of any restaurant or place it's acceptable just because their business is decaying, but sadly for unreasonable restrictions? Why is it that fines from city inspectors are being handed out like candy, being expected to be paid by business owners that are barely making it to break even, or even worse? Why is it that we have to stay home unless we need to go to do Christmas shopping or just shoot a gigantic celebrity party? This whole thing where the government is just completely fucking over their own people and corporate giants are just destroying the economy, jacking up prices and growing ever so mighty. It's something that we're going to face, and a big part of us in a very personal way. I think it's about time that we make just a pause to realize and think about what is it that we are actually going back to. A lot of us seem to be eager just to go back to our normal lives. But have you guys ever thought about, just because this whole corona thing it's over, does it really mean that we're going back to how things used to be? Because in my perspective, I think this is when the real gnarly part begins, once the corona it's all over. Like I said before, I don't feel like worrying about the things I can't control, but I do feel like it's about time for us to remove that "I don't care" sign from our foreheads and really think about what is it that we're going to deal with once the COVID gets completely under control within the last, hopefully, 10 months. I think it's weird how people worry so much about the right now, but they just don't see what comes after this whole ordeal. The health complications of people with debts, with unemployment, with closed businesses, with rent due to pay, with people who need the money from rent because they're landlords and they're now as well starving just as the people who were renting the place. It seems like we're only worrying about something that it's going to end and not the whiplash of this thing that we're dealing with right now. I will close with this. Even the Black Plague eventually faded away with all the technological limitations at the time. Society managed to keep going by the skin of their teeth, but they did. All bad things come to an end. But Corona right now, it's not the only thing we should worry about, but as well the world post Corona and how it's going to look like.